How's it going, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys the second part in my UFC on Fox 15 predictions. This will be the review of the event and the recap of my predictions. Sorry about the webcam, but I want to get this video done fast and uploaded fast, and the webcam is way faster than doing it on the HD camera. So I went 6-5 over the night. Not very good. Definitely not my best. Typically, I do well, even though I wouldn't consider myself a very knowledgeable MMA fan. I'm still, relatively new to the sport. I have been watching it for years, but my knowledge is very limited. Even though I am very limited in my knowledge, I do get really lucky, and my picks have been relatively good. So I was a little bit disappointed with the 6-5 record for UFC on Fox 15. But let's get into this. We have Chris Dempsey taking on Eddie Gordon. Chris Dempsey won that fight via split decision. I picked Eddie Gordon. I do think he won the fight. I do think he did enough to win the fight. He did look very stiff, but I do think that he won the fight. Now, however, I do not think it was, the biggest robbery ever, so I was okay with the decision for Chris Dempsey, although I do think that Eddie Gordon did win the fight. Then we move on to Diego Brandao defeating Jimmy Hedis. I picked Hedis in that fight, and he got clipped with an elbow, split his cauliflower ear open real bad. Kind of looked like the, I think Lauren Murphy, I can't remember, the female fighter that, ripped her ear off practically. I thought it was like that, but it wasn't as bad, but it was still pretty bad. They stopped it, doctor stoppage. I do think that Jimmy Hedis had a good shot at coming back and winning that fight, especially if Brandao gassed, but that's not what happened. After all, I can't really take much away from Diego Brandao because he is the one that caused the injury with a really well-placed elbow to the ear. That's the way it rolls, so I was 0-2 for the night so far. Then we go on to Tim Means versus George Sullivan. I picked Tim Means in that fight, and he did end up winning by triangle choke or arm triangle choke in the third round. I didn't actually get to see this fight because I was a little bit behind on my Fight Pass streaming, and the event was starting on Fox, so I switched over, so I really can't comment on this fight, but I did get the pick right. Then we have Aljamain Sterling taking on Takeo Mizugaki. Aljamain wins the fight via arm triangle, round number 3. Aljamain looked very, very good. Very impressed with his performance. I did get that pick right. I was happy about that. Aljamain just looked awesome, and the bantamweight division definitely needs some more contenders. So he did look, people are saying that he looks similar to John Jones, and maybe a fair comparison. He's definitely not John Jones yet, but definitely some potential there. After that, we have Gian Villante taking on Corey Anderson. I did pick Anderson, and he did lose via TKO in round number 3. Gian Villante came out, hit him with some hard leg kicks. They weren't checked. Corey Anderson ate a lot more leg kicks. Eventually, in the third round, he did start putting it together, and he was looking good. He was taking the fight to Gian Villante, and then Villante caught him with a punch and kind of knocked him senseless. And it was a weird knockout because Anderson was kind of like walking away, turning his back to Gian Villante, and Villante just came in and cracked him, and that's all she wrote. Mad props to Villante. He put together a well crafted game plan. I will say that I'm still not super sold on him. I don't think that he would do very well against the top 15 fighters in the division. But, give him props for the win. Well done. He, kept cool and composed and got the knockout. After that, we have OSP taking on Patrick Cummins. I picked Cummins, and he lost by KO in round 1. Patrick Cummins came in, looked pretty decent. He was really relentless with the takedown, and but OSP just kept popping back up. I was surprised at the size difference. OSP looked a lot bigger than Cummins. Cummins kind of got sloppy with his takedowns, and he got caught coming in. He didn't really set him up, and he got caught coming in, and OSP, knocked him out. So props to OSP for winning that fight. I really was a little bit disappointed in Patrick Cummins. I thought he was a little bit better than that. I was expecting more of a Ryan Bader type fight, and I didn't really get that. After that, we have Beneil Dariush taking on Jim Miller. This was a great fight. It was a ground fight, and a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of reversals, and position changes, submission attempts. Very, very good fight. Jim Miller, high-level jiu-jitsu guy. Beneil Dariush took it to him and really just outclassed him, and it was kind of almost like a changing of the guard fight, because it was like Jim Miller, the older veteran fighter in the UFC, kind of passed the baton to Beneil Dariush. I do consider Beneil Dariush a top 15 fighter now at the lightweight division. Somebody had asked me that in my last video, if he won, would he be a top 15 fighter? And I do think that he is. Which, it's interesting because lightweight is getting really exciting with a lot of these young guys coming up. I mean, you have Ali Quinta, you have Tony Ferguson, who's looking great. Of course, you have Michael Johnson. Lightweight is a lot of fun. And of course, now Beneil Dariush. I do think that the lightweight division has been my favorite for a long time, and I think it will continue to be my favorite as I'm seeing these fighters come up. Then we have Paige VanZant taking on Felice Herrig. VanZant looked great, a little bit sloppy here and there with her technique, but she was very just determined to win the fight, determined to take the fight to Felice, and that she did. And she looked great doing it. Felice, I've always had this issue with her, but it just seems like that she almost kind of gives up in fights, or she does things that kind of take the fight out of the element that she's winning. I do think that she was doing great on the stand-up. She caught Paige VanZant with some uppercuts in the clinch. She was tagging her up on the feet a bit, and she just seems like she's all too willing to go to the ground a lot of times. And she was a kickboxer. I think she should really focus on her stand-up a little bit more. It seems like she's just so content to fight on the ground. She's constantly looking for reversals and things like that, but it never really seems like she's looking to get back up to her feet. I don't know, just something about Felice's fighting style. I always felt like she's way better than she performs, and it kind of always annoyed me. Paige VanZant, great fight. She definitely is somebody I'm going to be watching closely. I hope they, give her a slow route to the title instead of throwing her right in there. So I'd like to see her fight somebody that's maybe just ranked slightly above Felice. I haven't looked at the rankings, but definitely don't, put her in there with Joanna yet. After that, we have Max Holloway defeating Cub Swanson. I did pick Cub Swanson in that fight, and boy was I wrong. Max Holloway just completely outclassed, outskilled Cub Swanson. Just looked phenomenal. Great combinations, cutting angles perfectly. Just looked fantastic. And it was a little bit disheartening because I am a big fan of Cub Swanson, and to see him kind of have these underwhelming performances 2 fights in a row. And I don't really think it was Cub Swanson who was, underperforming per se. I do think that his opponents really just outskilled him in his last 2 fights. So back to the drawing board for Cub. Hopefully he rebounds nicely. But Max Holloway, only 25 years old, really putting it together. Super excited to see what he can do in the featherweight division. All of a sudden that rematch with Conor McGregor actually got a little bit more interesting, if they were to do it. And then finally, actually there's one more. I forgot about this fight. We have Honato Souza, or Jacare Souza taking on Chris Camozzi. Exactly happened what everybody expected. Camozzi came in on short notice and got submitted in the first round. Really don't have much to say about it. Props to Camozzi for stepping up and giving it his all, I guess, but Jacare is just much better. Then we move to the main event, which was middleweights. Luke Rockhold taking on Lyoto Machida. I picked Rockhold in that fight. Let me just run through these really quickly. I picked Gordon, he lost. I picked Hedis, he lost. I picked Tim Means, he won. I picked Sterling, he won. I picked Corey Anderson, he lost. I picked Patrick Cumming, he lost. I picked Beneil Dariush. I picked Paige VanZant. I picked Cub Swanson, who had lost. and I picked Jacare, who won, and I picked Luke Rockhold, who also won. This was a weird fight. I mentioned that I was waiting for the day that it seemed like Lyoto Machida wasn't all there, where age finally caught up with him, and I think this was the day. I mean, Luke Rockhold just dominated him way more than Chris Weidman did, so that's why this Rockhold-Weidman fight all of a sudden became very interesting. Luke Rockhold was much bigger than Lyoto and just was a dominating force on top. And I don't know if the first takedown came from a slip, but it definitely significantly changed the direction of the fight, because Lyoto was doing decent on his feet, and just after it hit the ground, it was curtains. You know, Lyoto barely survives the first round and just never really looked the same after that. So it was a bit sad to see Machida go down like that, but you know, I think this fight card was a changing of the guard. I think a lot of these younger fighters kind of are taking over, and it was definitely a good fight card. That's it, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Sorry this video was all over the place. I'm kind of in a rush. Peace.